this is definitely trauma-related. For some reason, I was in Oklahoma in a run-down town where all the roads and lawns were made of orange dirt and mud. There was no grass or trees. Everything was just mud. I was with my boyfriend walking around trying to figure out where exactly we were and how to get back home. We made it to a big blue apartment building that looked like a mixture of a hotel and a car place. We went inside and walked around to find a place to stay. A couple walked out of their room, room 20, and asked if we wanted to stay there with them until we got home. Without hesitation, we said yes. We went inside and started cleaning for them. We noticed a lot of strange things. There were dog cages stacked on top of each other, upright and sideways, that had toys in them. Their bedroom door had 2 locks on it. There was trash everywhere, blood in random places, and toys everywhere. There were no dogs to be found, but the toys looked like children's toys, and we didn't see any children there. A few days go by with us trying to find a way home. After walking around the town, we went back to the apartment to clean, again, for the millionth time. When we arrived, we heard a lot of noises coming from the bedroom. We decided to just clean everywhere else, until we heard a child's voice. We opened the door, and there was a little girl crying and heading towards the door to leave. We asked the man what was going on, and he said it was his grandchild, and she was in trouble. We didn't question it. We walked into the room to clean up. The couple stood up and asked us if we wanted to join them. They wanted us to be a party of 4. We both said no, and they got really annoyed, and the woman stormed off. The man asked to speak with my boyfriend alone, so I left the room and went to clean the living room. One of the cages had been dented from the top caving in. A lot of time had passed since I realized they hadn't come out of the room. I went in the room to inspect, and when I opened the door, I only saw the man. My boyfriend was gone, and the man said he was just out shopping for him. A few days passed by, and I never saw my boyfriend. I saw a lot of girls come in and out of the apartment building who were the couple's grandchildren. They didn't even look old enough to be grandparents. I never saw the kids' actual parents, and they were always crying when leaving. I was texting my boyfriend throughout the whole time he was away, and he wouldn't text me back. At one point, I told him that if he wasn't going to reply, to never reply again. I started to cry and went into the couple's room to ask for advice. When I walked in, I saw the man trying to undress one of the girls. He turned around to look at me and got angry and ran towards the door and locked it. I ran out of the apartment and outside to a random place far from the building. When I called the police, an officer sounded annoyed, and when I told him that it was happening, he said there wasn't much he could do. I explained to him all the stuff inside the apartment, like cages and random children's toys. He said he'd try to be there as soon as possible. I ran back to the apartment and the couple were in the living room, and my boyfriend was too. He was dirty, sweaty, and didn't have his phone on him. The man walked behind me and locked the door. He told us we had to join them, and we both said no. Suddenly, I was by myself in the downstairs lobby next to a Starbucks. I started asking people around if they had any drugs that could put someone to sleep. Someone actually gave me a very fine green powder to mix into water. I walked up to the person who worked at the Starbucks counter and asked if I could get 4 cups of iced water with red food coloring, and she kept saying no. I repeatedly asked her this with the same results. She told me she was too afraid to use red food coloring. I asked for just 4 empty cups and she gave them to me. I went to fill them with water and they started melting. She started laughing at me. I ran back upstairs to the room and went in. The man grabbed me and slammed me onto a cage and started to try and force himself onto me. He took off my pants and I kept kicking and screaming. My boyfriend was nowhere to be seen, and the woman just sat on the couch and watched. At one point, I was able to slip off the cage. I put both feet on the floor, but he picked me up and slammed me onto the cage. He tried to force himself again, but I was able to fight him off. It wasn't strong enough to hurt him, but it was enough to piss him off. He started trying harder, but I kept resisting. My boyfriend suddenly was back and he handed me a small pair of wire cutters. I stabbed the man in the chest and kept going, stabbing him repeatedly. I could tell he was getting exhausted. Soon, he gave up and fell onto the floor. The woman jumped up and tried to hurt us, but we pinned her down. Finally, the authorities arrived and told them that they were under arrest and made me and my boyfriend get into another room where they could question us. We hadn't actually arrested them yet. When we were in the other room, the other man stood up and tried to run at us. The cop didn't even try to stop him, but luckily he passed out again on the floor. The cop didn't try to stop him, but luckily he passed out again on the floor. They were both eventually removed from the apartment building. My boyfriend and I found our home, and we were never apart again.